And then let me share my screen. All right. How's my mic, by the way? I can't see you.
It's good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Deep fried. Xbox Live. Okay, let me try my earphones. All right. I hope it's better now. But either way, I'm gonna get started. All right. Well, welcome everyone for another general meeting. Today's March the 8th. A lot of really cool announcements today. So let's just get started. So first, for shout outs, I want to give a huge shout out to Emily and Omar for planning and organizing all of Coachella. It was a blast, and we'll talk about it more later. But thank you all so much. I think spaceport is now a reality for the work y'all put in. And also all the Coachella volunteers, you can see all their names there. If I'm missing some names, I apologize. These are the ones that I remember today. But thank you all so much for staying there, even if you were helping out just for an hour. I'm really thankful for that. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. And also a huge shout out to some of the structures people who are helping out with the boat tail. Haley told me Brandon, Ali, Jordan, and James were there last week, and they put in a lot of work. So thank you for that. And also the recovery people who've been going to the lab and getting some hands-on experience. Good job. Now for some announcements and deadlines. I guess the first thing I wanted to bring up today is Coachella and just kind of go over what happened and some of the things we did. So first, I just want to say that we raised over $1,700 just on tickets, food, and some donations from people. And in profit, it was almost $1,000. So I think it was a huge success. The live music was great. And then a lot of people came up to me asking about SCR, asking about when are we going to do this again. I guess they wanted us to do that pretty soon, but I don't think we're going to be doing it this semester. They'll probably going to have to wait another semester or a whole year. But it was great. All of the bands, I forgot to include their names here. You can see Joaquin on that top left picture there performing, Sad Allen, DGS, Cherry Bluff, and Cold Water were all great. It was super fun, and honestly, I can't wait to do it again next year for SCR. Well, not me, but whoever's going to be taking in charge of that. So what happens next? So now that we have experience on planning something this big, we want to take it to a next level, right? We want to make it even bigger. So if we want to make it bigger, we got to start planning earlier. And so for those who are going to be organizing it, I think getting started in the fall will be best. Getting in contact with all the other engineering organizations and getting them involved. That way their members will be able to attend will be huge. Making a bigger profit, is what the goal will be for next year. And then also somebody brought up the idea of having another huge event, but rather than waiting all the way until the spring, we can do it in the fall. It can be another fundraiser that's non-music related. And similar to next year's Coachella, this could be something that the officers take on. Maybe 4 of them could gather together and then just plan everything out. And then we also have a, document that Emily created of a step-by-step how to organize Coachella. And then that way you already have the groundworks to making the event even bigger and better. And then there's also some key takeaways for possible improvements that we would like to have. So thank you all so much. Even if you just went and bought a ticket and ate some food or coffee, we really appreciate it. We'll talk more about competition in, I think, the next slide, which is why this is such important to us. But yeah, other updates. One thing we wanted to announce today too is for Zenith, we want to have a paint job design competition. So basically a lot of the, statistics for how flight might perform for Zenith or how the flight performance will be for Zenith will come a lot from the painting. And we are very lucky to be sponsored by IA Coatings. And so what we want to do is once we get the airframes and we finish all the other work from structures, We're going to be sending out all the airframes, the nose cone, and the fins to AI coatings so they can paint it, but they will need to have a design. And so what we're going to do is we're going to gather all the requirements and restrictions, because there are some requirements and restrictions that they have for the paint job. And then we're going to have a competition. People will be able to enter, make their own design with their own color scheme, and whichever one helps us perform the best and is the best looking will win. I don't know if we will have a reward. I think you should have one. You'll definitely be getting a shout out. But right now, the date we have is for March 31st. That's not 100% yet. But you can always ask us, send us a DM if you are very interested in this. And then since we don't want to make the rocket a rainbow, we kind of want to do the same thing that we do with the logo, to where we have 3 colors max, 3 colors max for the paint job. Now, I guess this is another huge announcement for today. We want to talk more about who's going to be going to competition and about competition itself. So right now, how we're going to be deciding who's going to competition is going to be all the sub-team leads have, I guess, a exception, like you're invited already to be going to competition. Myself, Gustavo, and the future project manager and chief engineer will also be going. So right now, the maximum amount of people who are going to be going to competition and compete is going to be 14 people. However, there is space for a +1 for some sub teams. So depending on who the future project manager and chief engineer is, they'll also be able to have a +1. There will be, however, if you are a senior, it is kind of unlikely that you'll be able to make it, just because we want to keep members or younger members, especially sophomores and juniors who have been active in the team and who will be staying in the team, to have that experience next year. We don't want to end up how we are today, where none of us in the team have ever been a competition. We want to keep that legacy going. We want to keep the experience going. So that's just one thing to consider. But you should still, just in case you are the only other person interested, you should still fill out that QR code on the right if you are interested in going to competition. Even if you're a sub-team lead, you should still fill it out so we know who wants to go. So what if you want to go and you're not going to be part of the competition team, part of those 14 people? You can still go. I guess the only thing that I'll say is that you will have to cover your own expenses, and we'll be talking more about those expenses in the later slide. And one thing, or why you want to go to competition, you might be asking yourself is, I think it's great for networking. I've been told by people who have gone to competition in the past is that there's a lot of aerospace experts who go, a lot of people in the industry that you could go and talk to, get that networking going. You'll also be able to get like hands-on experience. It might be a little stressful, it might be hard, but I still encourage anyone. I think it'll be a great experience for your professional career, and also it will be fun. I think it will be a really fun social thing we're going to be having there. And then that brings me to the next slide of the competition itself. So what we have planned right now is to leave on the 20th and get to an Airbnb. We have a couple options for which Airbnb we're going to be staying in. You can see some of the pictures on the right. That's going to be around a 10 to 11 person Airbnb. So some of us might have to sleep on the couch, but I think it will be really fun. We're going to be spending a lot of time together, making sure that Zenith flies well, and then we place well in competition. We don't want to be staying in a hotel where we won't be able to even work on anything. So I hope just seeing those pictures gets everyone excited to be part of this. So yeah, it's in Las Cruces, New Mexico, June 20th to the 26th. It's pretty much where we're going to be staying. If we leave early or a little day after, we'll let y'all know. We still gotta, I guess, figure out all the finances for that. But right now, if you are sponsored, which counts, the sub-team leads, the future project manager, chief engineer, the +1, and Gustavo, myself, it will be $75. That does not include food and drink, but we are covering all your expenses for gas, hotel, and breakfast. So that's everything we're going to be covering if you are sponsored. If you're not sponsored, you will unfortunately have to go and stay somewhere else. You don't have to stay there the whole time. But even if you're interested, fill out that QR code that I showed earlier. If you want to see it again, just send me a DM. So when we will decide on who is going. These dates are not 100%, but April 15th for those who are sponsored. Okay. I think that's a really good date to know to know who's going to be going. And then if you were not picked to be one of those sponsored people, May 15th will be a good date to let us know, hey, I plan on going, but not with y'all. So please send me any DMs if you have any more questions. Now, here's the other huge thing I wanted to bring up today, and that is future leadership positions. Yeah, so it's that time of the year. I can't believe it's been so many months now since Gustavo and I took over as project manager and chief engineer. Time flew by, and now it's time for us to start looking for who's going to be taking over these positions and to see what you're going to be doing in the next few years. So what we're going to do is, if you're interested on project manager, chief engineer, or a sub-team lead position, all you have to do is fill out that QR code. It's literally just your name and which of the three you're interested in, right? We will make the decision on April 15th, sorry, April 5th. So that's in about a month. So complete the interest form or DM us by April 30th, okay? The way we're gonna make it work this year is if we get an interest form or a DM, we're probably going to schedule a few meetings with you, just talk with you about, hey, why do you want to be project manager? Why do you want to be chief engineer? And then decide from there. There's a lot of you who have been interested in the positions. Oh, sorry, I heard someone talking. That was probably a mistake. Yeah, but what we want to do is decide early so that last month of school could be a transition period for all the way until spaceport. That way we can already leave you with all the documentation we have, everything we would like to do different next year, for recruiting and everything else. And then once competition ends, then you will be officially the new project manager and chief engineer. And then Gustavo and I will I guess leave. And then for sub-team leads, the date we will decide will be April 19th. The reason why is a couple of weeks after is because we want to have the project manager and new chief engineer to have some say on who's going to take over and be part of their team. So current sub-team leads are allowed to stay and continue with their position, but they must meet with Gustavo and I first. I know a couple of y'all could definitely go for it and stay. So just DM us. For new sub-team leads, they can either be nominated by the current sub-team lead that's going to step down, or they can DM us too. And we'll kind of do the same thing with the chief engineer project manager position, where we'll meet with you, have a discussion as to why you want to take over this position, why do you think we're qualified, and then we will make that decision as to who's going to take over. And we want to kind of like have the teams established before the year ends. We don't want to scramble last second. And I just want to let y'all know too that this is a great opportunity for yourself, especially. I think you can network in the future with the team. I think this year something we did really great is just have awareness of the team. A lot more people know who we are now. I think we're at the point where we can collab with other organizations, have huge events, participate with them. So that networking aspect of it will be amazing for you. You can put that in a resume, and whenever you go and talk to a recruiter, whenever you go and talk to a company, the amount of things that I personally can talk about the team is something that I would have not ever gotten in a classroom or anything else. So even if you're new to the team, even if this is your first semester, your first year, and you want to give it a go to any of those positions, I say go for it. And if you don't get it, you can try again. It's all about putting yourself out there and working as hard as you can. And then you can be part of the legacy of the team. I think every year we grow and become better. We do new things that when the old alumni come back and they see what we're doing, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this much now. So give it a try. I think anyone in the team could definitely do any of these positions. Just make sure to fill out this form or DM us. But yeah, I think now it's up. Oh, Ravi, you want to talk about the raffle? I think it ends today. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. We have 9 entries, so I made a little wheel so that we can fairly decide live for your basic starter Arduino kit. If we want to, you can click on the link, Irvin, and it should let you spin the wheel. Yeah, look at that. You're muted.
You gotta click it.
You say I got to click the wheel?
You gotta click the wheel, bro.
You sure about that? All right.
Click the wheel.
Hold up. All right, here we go.
James,
Hey.
congrats. All right, James, if you could shoot me a DM on Discord and we can try and find a time before spring break where I can hand it off to you. That would be great.
Good stuff.
Thanks everyone for
Congratulations.
participating. Maybe we'll have another one in the future.
Thank you, Ravi. All right, now let's move on to the sub-team updates. Analysis, you're first.
Yes, so for analysis this week, we had our final fin design chosen after literal months of working on it.
These are all the quizzes, so.
Hey, Frankie, you're not muted.
My bad.
You're good.
Yeah, so we decided to go with the fin design you can see in the top right. It is going to be made of carbon fiber, and we did find that it had a 1.23 factor of safety for divergence velocity. And I think the industry recommendation is a 1.15. So we're glad to be above that and pretty safe. The purchase order will be placed soon. We're just finalizing a few more details regarding what type of carbon fiber and the vendor that we're going to get it from, and just figuring out the smaller details on that. The FEA software trade study was also completed. Shout out to Omar and Arturo for showing Nico the ropes regarding how we do trade studies. And they came to the conclusion that SolidWorks and ANSYS would be best for the team now and also in the future. This is pretty big because we did have the Siemens software, but because of downloading issues and also the time to learn such a complex software, that was the main reason why we didn't end up going with Siemens in the end. And then this week, we're continuing work on our Zenith questions and data sheet, and then the CFD projects as well. And I know I'm a little bombarded with midterms this week, so I'm not sure if we'll have a lab session tomorrow, but I will record an update video before spring break so that we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Structures.
Hey everyone. So pretty much this week, we focused on the boat tail. We now have both of the negatives completed. We're in the middle of waxing those up so we can go ahead and try to start the actual boat tail application layup this Friday. And then the motor block came in since we last talked 2 weeks ago. Looks great. It's in the lab. And then for the MMM, we completed the CAD for it, and as Ravi mentioned, we'll be placing an order for the fins and the carbon fiber sheets soon here. And it does look like we are going over budget, in case y'all were curious. So structures is turning out to be a bit more expensive than we were expecting. But yeah, lower left there is our boat tail negatives. Lower right is our motor block. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. And then that's all of us working in the lab up there. All the various things that we had going on Friday.
Hey, Gailey, good stuff. Avionics.
Sorry about that. Since our last meeting, we have completed pressure testing. It was a success. Both charges went off at the appropriate times. If you go in the avionics folder under testing/analysis, you can find the raw data, or top right, you'll see the raw data for altimetrum. Underneath that, you have the data that the graph that Gabe compiled for us. Thank you, Gabe. You can also go to the tutorial videos folder where you will find how-to videos. There's a how to work the pressure vacuum chamber and a how to ignite altimetrum. We also cannibalized the avionics tray. As you can see in the image in the middle, that's the avionics tray, that's the prototype. So what we did was we gathered some of the older parts from the older avionics tray and we placed them on the prototype. This is not a finalized design. This is simply for testing. We have CO2, we have testing with CO2, CO2 e-matches with recovery coming up. And we just wanted to ensure that all of our components would be safe during this process. Some updates about ground station. We have replaced the broken screen. No, we did not get the new Samsung Galaxy Fold. It was just a broken LCD. So thank you, Ravi and Arvin, for that. Thank you for helping us get that done. We simply have to finish coding the flight computer and ground station, which we're in the process of. Tips for keeping the LCD screen alive. Please do not move this unless we absolutely have to. If we do need to move this, please face it down on the bubble wrap that is provided. So if you see on the picture, you see the Raspberry Pi, the LCDs underneath that, that's the bubble wrap that I'm talking about. And then next up, Stratologger is working. Thank you, Kurt. We just need to test it before the we just need to test this with the e-matches before spaceport and we're good to go. And then lastly, lab time. Normally it's 4 to 7. This week it'll be 4 to 6 to account for AIAA meeting. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. All right, Payload.
Hey guys, so we're working on battery life tests right now. Frankie's bringing in a power bank that we're going to hook up to LEDs that Drew brought in. We just want to see how long the battery life of the power bank and the GoPro will be. And then we're also going to test the capacity of it after adding specific mechanisms like image stabilization. We're doing the CADs for the internal frame. Dominic finally put the CAD files in so we can look at them and modify them correctly. We're looking at possible alternative materials due to high heat at the launch. We're looking at ABS, PC, PETG, and Frankie brought up a good idea. We're looking into about making the cylinders for the GoPro mount out of fiberglass and foam. We'll be continuing work with the lenses and visibility. On the right, there's a picture of the lenses. We're gonna have to saw off some stuff, figure out some new CADs to mount them. And we're looking into ordering another 60 times lens possibly. There's something cool that I found, which is there's like a constant for the refractive index when you stack lenses. So depending on the material, which is hopefully just air between the lenses, we can figure out how to modify that. And then we're starting test trials. So on the right, there's also a picture of the E. coli that I'm working with. We're gonna test if we can see it at all, which is an important part. And then how close to competition we might need to order a new one. And then we're also doing flight vibration simulations to figure out what else we need to order for that.
Thank you, Isabel. And then propulsion.
Hey guys, so this week we got started on making some fuel motors at home. So I'll quickly run you guys through all the stuff we went over. So of course we had to make a lot of calculations beforehand before we even got started to buy fuel and chemicals. We got a couple of calculations. If you can see it on the whiteboard, we're gonna digitize it soon, but we got basically the dimensions of the fuel grain we were looking at or interested in manufacturing. as well as possible motor casing materials. We looked at the amount of necessary fuel per motor and how much we're wanting to buy for the team. The motor dimensions and its impulse rating, we're shooting for about an E. So E or F class to start off. They're fairly small, but big enough so that we can run some tests on the motors. Also, we did some fuel calculations, composition by weight, price of the chemicals themselves, how much we're going to need, and how much we need to put on the bill of materials, and also wrote down a couple of necessary equipment. Hopefully we can knock that out this week. Me and Adrian are working to knock that out, and maybe we can start manufacturing motors or mixing fuel this Friday. Worst case, we can work over spring break if anybody has some free time, or test them over spring break. And if anybody is interested, you guys don't need to be in propulsion to come join us and make motors. So if anyone's interested on how making fuel grains in the lab is going to be, or making your own motors in the lab, you guys are more than welcome to come by and work with us.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
that's
Ozzy.
all I got. Yep.
Good stuff. And recovery.
Hello, everyone. So for recovering the past 2 weeks, I guess not the last week, but the one before that, we had our first test with the main parachute. It was by no means a scientific test again. We were just trying to find out if we could make the parachute open. And you can see there at the bottom, look at that form. You see that running form? Ooh, look at that. Anyways, I just ran with the parachute. Shout out to Titus and Bailey for being there. So I just held onto the parachute and ran away, and Titus held onto the bag. And you can see there from all of the pictures that you can see the parachute did come out. It didn't tangle or anything. And then after coming out, as I kept running, it deployed really fast. And there on the right, on the last picture on the right, you can see that it completely deployed. And then on Monday, we started messing around with the black powder charges and the way we're gonna keep them in place. I'm gonna call these the holders, but you can see there that we drill the holes, and we cut some PVC, and then on the right picture there on the top row, you can see what we did. So we took the tubes, we drill a hole, and then we put the E-matches there, and then we created a seal. So upcoming for the rest of the week, we are going to finish messing around with the mounting for the black powder. We also have to redesign the parachute rig. We 3D printed one. Unfortunately, it was kind of too small, and there is a lot of improvements we could make. So we're trying to redesign that. And then if we have time, we'll also try to start writing the procedures for the upcoming tests. Now that we have everything necessary for the black powder charges, we might as well test them as well whenever we do have the ground test. That is it for recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, recovery. And that was it. I think it's supposed to say questions here, but it doesn't. So let me type it. Questions. Do y'all have any questions right now? One thing I will say is there will not be a meeting next week because it is spring break. So next time we see you, it's gonna be, what is it, the 24th, 22nd? Can anyone confirm the date for me real quick? Coachella? What do you mean Coachella question mark? I think it's the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yeah, so 22nd, we want to go back into a hybrid meeting, and we will have some food and drinks. And again, as I mentioned a couple times before, feel free to invite anyone. Literally, if they're not part of the team, you can just come by, invite your friends, have food, hang out. We're going to try to make the meeting a little more fun. And we'll start going over Zenith and some of the quote unquote stats of Zenith. So question by Ravi. will we be sponsored by Cullen Oaks? That's a possibility. I don't know, maybe. I'll bring the science team. Just bring anyone. Honestly, just bring anyone. I just want to make it fun and people to enjoy and learn about rocketry. And then finally, if you have any questions, you can either email me or Gustavo, or you can reach us on the Discord. And then one final thing. This Thursday, we have the AIAA General Meeting at 7 p.m. It's hybrid. Ravi or Omar, if you're here, can you let me know what the room is for the meeting?
L2D2.
L2D2. L2D2. So be there. We'll get to meet the new officers. So that's going to be really interesting. I feel like a lot of you know who they are. So please go to the AIAA meeting. I'll be there. We'll all be there. That's it. Any questions? I guess not. So I'll be seeing you on Thursday then. Y'all take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Irvin, don't end the meeting.